Jim Jones and Chrissy is a total lie. You heard that correctly. What if I told you that Cameron, the same Cameron we all know, merely demolished everything they constructed with one motion? He stepped into that courtroom and took apart their beautiful little world, and trust me, you won't believe the revelations he just revealed now. Here's the twist: Jim Jones, the guy who believed he was untouchable, the one we all believed could do no wrong, he lost it all in front of the world, standing there exposed as the walls shattered around him. And Chrissy, you won't even know her after this, she thought, could get away with it no longer. Do you really believe Chrissy was the genius behind all of this? Do you really think Jim Jones had no knowledge the reality is much worse than you think? And Cameron simply pulled back the veil on scandal that will leave you speechless. What happens when the people you trust turn against you in the most public manner imaginable, when everything you've achieved comes tumbling down? This isn't just another celebrity controversy, this is the scandal of the year. Are you ready to have your mind blown? Stick around, because this is just the beginning. As the days progressed, the situation got more convoluted. The public was no longer merely watching the trial, they were fascinated with it. Each new leak, each new rumor just added gasoline to the fire. It seemed as if everyone was waiting for the next piece of the jigsaw to fall into place. Would Melly walk free? Or will the evidence against him be too overwhelming? The video footage that had emerged was a gimmicker, but it did not deliver the clarity everyone had hoped for. The film was hazy and inconclusive, revealed two persons in a vehicle that may have been Melly and his suspected co-conspirator Bortland, but the absence of specific information made it hard to positively identify them. Was it a blazing gun that would clear Melly's name? Or was it simply another piece of evidence that would further muddy the waters? The defense team capitalized on this ambiguity, alleging that the film was too ambiguous to have any real weight in. They contended in court that it was simply another effort to mislead the jury and generate doubt, a ploy meant to manipulate public opinion rather than offer a factual account of the events. But the prosecution wasn't backing down either. They seized on the film, pointing out that although it may not be perfectly clear, it nonetheless put Melly at the scene at a critical moment. Even more worrisome for Melly's defense was the discovery regarding his several former acquaintances had come forward, stating that Melly had made veiled threats before they took place. According to them, Melly had voiced rage and aggravation over being missiled, and some even accused that he had threatened to take matters into his own hands if things didn't go his way. Was this the thinking of an innocent guy, or did it reflect something far worse? As if things couldn't get more worse, Bortland, Melly's longtime buddy and co-defendant, finally made his move. Rumors had been swirling for weeks about a potential plea agreement, and now it seemed that it was going to materialize in a surprising event. Team acknowledged that he was talking with the prosecution for a lower sentence in return for evidence against Melly. This was a major blow to Melly's case, since Bortland had been the final line of defense for his. With Bortland possibly turning, the prosecution had an insider with intimate knowledge of the events leading up to the courtroom was on fire, and the tension was apparent. Bortland's decision sparked a surge of conjecture and fear. Would this be the end of Melly's defense? Was his closest buddy preparing to betray him for a reduced sentence? Fans of the musician were stunned, and the Free Melly campaign seemed to be losing pace as more and more people questioned his innocence. But it didn't stop there. A whistleblower, a former member of Melly's inner circle, came out saying that they had first-hand information concerning Melly's participation in the whistleblower, who had been given anonymity for their safety, said that they had been a part of the aftermath of and had watched Melly dispose of. They also alleged that Melly had confessed to them in private chats about the circumstances of the whistleblower's testimony was explosive and seemed to validate the darkest suspicions of those who trusted Melly was guilty. The defense attempted to dismiss the whistleblower, alleging that they were simply a disgruntled ex-associate searching for attention and money. But the evidence, together with the increasing number of witnesses against Melly, was beginning to create a worrisome picture. With each fresh piece of evidence, the walls were closing in on him. Then came the ultimate blow, a leaked audio of a discussion between Melly and his lawyer that hinted at a plea offer in the Melly seemed to indicate anxiety about the case's result and discussed the prospect of pleading guilty to lesser charges to escape a life sentence. The video was devastating if Melly was actually considering a plea deal. It would mean he was willing to admit guilt, which could be enough to sway the jury's opinion once and for all. The prosecution wasted no time capitalizing on the recording, presenting it as proof that Melly knew he was guilty and that he was attempting to evade the repercussions of his crimes by negotiating a bargain. The defense naturally contested the validity of the audio, but by then the damage had been done. The public was now doubting everything. In the meanwhile, Melly's admirers were split. Some continued to rally behind him, arguing that the system was rigged against him and that he was the victim of a great conspiracy. Others, however, began to feel the weight of the evidence against him. Could it be true? Was Melly really capable of the atrocities he was accused of? As the trial neared its closing phases, the question on everyone's mind was simple. Would Melly walk free or face life in jail? The court drama was suddenly a worldwide spectacle, and the media outlets couldn't get enough of it. Social media burst with every new update, leak, and twist in the case. Celebrities and influencers chimed in with their thoughts on Melly's guilt or innocence, and the whole world appeared to be awaiting for the ultimate decision. However, even as the case approached its conclusion, the most stunning revelation of all occurred in the Melly's speech to the court. During the closing stages of the trial, Melly took the stand in his own defense. His evidence was packed with passion as he denied any role in theme, stated that he was innocent. He talked of his background, challenges, and how he had always tried to do the right thing. The moment was raw, emotional, and personal, and it seemed to influence some people in the courtroom. But was it enough? Was Melly's emotional appeal to the court enough to persuade a jury that he was innocent? The world would soon find out. As the trial drew to a finish, the jury debated, and the globe held it. So would Melly be found guilty, or would he walk free, a free man once more, despite the overwhelming evidence against him? Whatever the conclusion, one thing was certain: this case had altered everything. The saga of Melly wasn't just about a trial. It was about a system, a celebrity, and the world of fame and money clashing in unexpected ways. The stage was prepared for the last act. Would the truth ever come to light? Only time would tell. So, what happens when the secrets start to pour, when the truth hits the fan, and all of a sudden you find yourself at the center of a controversy that you can't control? We're about to find out, because the drama emerging between Jim Jones and Chrissy Lampkin isn't just about personal betrayal. Oh no, this is a full-fledged public breakdown. Let's delve into the catastrophe that's sending waves all over social media beyond. When Cameron entered the stand, he wasn't just talking about financial manipulation or dominating relationships. He revealed an enterprise founded on falsehoods, fraud, and manipulation. But here's the kicker: the public doesn't. Cameron did not drop all of his bombs in the courtroom. Instead, he has been letting those secrets seep out one by one, and they are slowly sinking Jim and Chrissy's ship. Cameron supposedly having records in his possession that are now in the hands of investigative reporters is astonishing. For one, Jim wasn't even the only decision maker in his profession and money. Chrissy was. The lady who built a reputation for herself in the public eye as Jim's ride or die was secretly pulling all the strings behind the scenes. She wasn't simply a supportive girlfriend. She was the one making the key choices, handling the money, and constructing the narrative of their relationship. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Jim may have been the one in front of the cameras, rapping and stirring up the audience during his shows, but when it came to the money, the real fortune that they were accumulating, it was Chrissy who had her hands all over it. She was apparently the genius behind everything that had to do with their business operations. And we're talking about more than simply a couple of endorsement agreements here. We're talking about offshore accounts, shell companies, and a network of hidden assets that only a few knew about. And all of this was occurring while Jim was busy worrying about his job, Chrissy. Chrissy had his back, but Cameron wasn't done yet. He took it to a whole new level when he began talking about the dark side of their relationship, according to unnamed people close to the issue. Chrissy was not just in charge of Jim's money. She was also in charge of his public image. Every move he took, every agreement he signed was all carefully managed by Chrissy to preserve the ideal couple illusion they had constructed over the years now. Let's talk about the money laundering element of this scenario, because believe me, it's a major concern. According to sources, Cameron reportedly discovered Jim and Chrissy had been engaged in some shady financial activities, and by questionable, I mean unlawful money that was supposed to be utilized for their company was being diverted via concealed accounts into shell companies and reportedly even used for personal costs that had nothing to do with their work. But the worst part, it wasn't even a mistake. This was a perfectly designed scheme to conceal their riches and keep it out of the public spotlight, and Cameron wasn't going to let them get away with it. He revealed everything in the courtroom, from Chrissy's manipulation of Jim to the financial scams they had been doing in the shadows. And guess what? It didn't end there. According to unnamed sources, the couple's filthy secrets didn't just go back a few months or years, but all the way back to the beginning. Since the beginning of their relationship, Chrissy had been using Jim as a pawn in her sophisticated schemes to secure money and power. This wasn't simply a love story gone bad, this was a premeditated strategy to seize control of Jim's life and future. Don't forget that Jim Jones isn't just an ordinary celebrity, he's a rapper and a businessman, and a well-known character in the hip-hop industry. But he was being manipulated by someone he trusted. It's almost poetic in a sad way. Jim developed his career, put in the effort, and made a reputation for himself, yet behind closed doors, Chrissy was secretly making choices that were not only damaging their financial future, but also controlling his every move. But hang on, we're not done yet. Or romantic turmoil, it's about public image, and that's where things get interesting. As soon as Cameron spilled the truth about what was really going on, the public had a field day on social media, with fans turning against Jim and Chrissy in a manner they'd never seen before. The shockwaves that struck the internet were real. Everyone from hip-hop fanatics to casual observers began looking into their background, dredging up every dubious decision they'd done, began questioning, was everything we saw on TV just a lie? Was their relationship all for show? And the answer, according to Cameron, was yes. But then came the part that really rocked Jim Jones hard. No, when the trial findings became public, his empire began to unravel. No one knew who to trust anymore, not even his closest supporters. People who had previously stood by him began to pull away, wondering why they had been caught up in the falsehoods that had been woven by Chrissy. The treachery was genuine, and the harm was clear. But the question on everyone's mind is, where does Jim go from here? The reality is the damage. The damage done by these discoveries may be irrevocable. Sure, Jim is a survivor and fighter, but this isn't just about a quarrel with Cameron or some made-up drama for TV. It's about his whole public image being wrecked. Jim Jones is facing a battle that may be too hard to overcome. He has lost control of the narrative, and the whole public is now questioning everything he has ever said and done. If you think things are awful for Jim, just wait till you see how Chrissy is handling all of this, because after all that's been uncovered, she's not exactly winning any popularity contests, either with fans or even some of her friends. People starting to see her for who she actually is, and the reaction is only going to become worse. But we're still just touching the surface. The public fallout is just beginning, and believe me, this isn't going to be a short-lived controversy. The more people speak about it, the more secrets will come to light. So brace up, because this roller coaster is just getting started. And keep your eyes open, because there's no knowing what's next. Now that we've dived into the mess, the controversy, and the public pandemonium, let's speak about the aftermath, because that's when things become even more intense. The legal drama, the falsehoods, and the financial secrets are only the beginning of the true ramifications are just starting to surface. First of all, Jim Jones' public image is in the sewer. This guy went from being a respected figure in the hop community to the topic of scorn and gossip in the blink of an eye. You know how the internet works. One mistake, one leak, one bombshell discovery, and it's like you're just a hashtag Jim Jones fool anybody. And what's more, people are no longer taking his side. And that's not something you can quickly recover from when your whole career has been based on devotion, street cred, and respect. Having your best pals turn against you is like being stabbed in the back by the exact people who were meant to have your back. But here's the kicker. His career isn't just personal, it's also professional. His music is hardly making a mark in the charts, and his brand, all his tours, have been reduced down, and ticket sales are nothing near what they used to be. No one wants to connect with a guy who's now widely perceived as weak, controlled, and maybe engaged in dubious transactions. To be honest, no one in the hip-hop industry wants to be the next one exposed for doing business with a scam. So what happens when you lose your reputation and career? You lose everything, or at the very least, you lose all control. It's no longer just about being a rapper with a few songs. It's about surviving the damage to your reputation, and believe me, this is going to exact a toll that Jim won't simply recover from. Away swiftly meanwhile, Chrissy Lampkin, oh, she's not doing much better. In fact, if you thought her role in this drama was going to go under the radar, think again. She's been dragged through the mud along with Jim and The saddest thing is that she may have initiated all of this, but now she's being revealed as the true mastermind behind the manipulation and deception. Yeah, those beautiful couple vibes were just that. Behind the scenes, Chrissy was supposedly controlling the show, pulling strings and using Jim as a puppet in a wider game of manipulation. And although she may have had the public deceived for years, she is now the one facing the music, and the public views her as nothing more than a manipulative figure, and her image is crumbling apart quicker than a house of cards. But don't take my word for it. The reaction against Chrissy is no joke. Fans are demanding answers, asking for her to be held responsible for the way she controlled Jim's career and income. And let's not even get started on the online trolls, who are having a field day. Chrissy Exposed is trending, and every tweet, meme, and remark is a reminder that the public is done with her. This lady is no longer perceived as the loving girlfriend sticking by her boyfriend. She's been depicted as a schemer by someone. She leveraged her connection for personal advantage, and that's a story that's hard to shake off. Let's speak about legal repercussions because, oh boy, things are getting serious. The courtroom drama not only revealed personal secrets, but it also raised some serious legal red flags. We're talking about suspected financial fraud, money laundering, and manipulation of business dealings. And when the law begins sniffing, you can bet your bottom dollar that things are going to get sticky. According to unidentified sources, authorities are investigating into the couple's financial affairs, possible money laundering schemes, offshore accounts, and hidden assets. And these are not simply claims flung about in the media. There are serious investigations going. And if the allegations are accurate, we might be facing very severe accusations, including tax evasion and perhaps criminal conspiracy. That's not a little thing, people. Now here's where it gets even juicier. Jim Jones may no longer be in power, but Chrissy is not off the hook. Sources close to the matter claim she's already making arrangements to remove herself from Jim. When the chips are down and the pressure is on, the first person to jump ship is generally the one who has been tugging the strings. Chrissy has been accused of manipulating Jim, using his profession as a stepping stone to develop her own empire. But what happens when her empire begins to crumble? Does she put Jim under the bus? That is the next phase of the fallout. The gap between Jim and Chrissy. Sources are already claiming that things are becoming nasty behind the scenes. This isn't just a personal breakup, but a public and professional split that's going to have long-term consequences for the couple's financial affairs, their business efforts, and their relationship. It's all unraveling, and the tension is building with each passing day. So what does this mean? For we know one thing for sure about Jim and Chrissy's future. It's going to be a long and rough road. No one is going to forget the mess they've caused anytime soon, and the public's attention is laser focused on every step they make. Better be prepared for what's coming next, because the truth always finds a way to come out. And in this instance, it's already out there exposed for the world to see. So let's finish this up, shall we? Jim and Chrissy believed they could deceive everyone, but in the end, they only deceived themselves. What's happening today isn't just about a couple's ruined relationship. It's about an empire founded on lies and deceit, and we're all watching. Everything comes crumbling down. Will Jim be able to pick up the pieces? Will Chrissy get out of this unhurt? Or will she be left carrying the bad for all she's done? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain. This scandal isn't going away anytime soon, so stay tuned because there's more to this tale than meets the eye. That's a wrap on today's blockbuster topic, but believe me, we're only getting started with the drama, deceit, and treachery. This tale is far from finished, and you know you want to be the first to hear what happens next, so here's your opportunity to join the debate. Do you believe Jim Jones will bounce back from this major incident? Will Chrissy repair her image, or has she lost it all? Drop your opinions in the comments below and don't hold back. Let's see who's still on their side and who's ready to cancel them both. I know you've got some strong comments on this one. Don't forget to like this video if you're rocked by all the twists and turns we've unearthed today. It's about time the truth come out right. And hey, if you want more juicy exposés like this one, click that subscribe and set on alerts because we're constantly digging deep to bring you the true news you won't find anywhere else. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next, so strap up. Because the drama is just it has already begun and will only become. You are not going to get much weirder than this. I don't want to miss a second of it.